Hello and welcome to Tuesday Talks with Michelle Jewsbury. Today we are going to be talking about victim blaming. As you know, in a lot of other countries and even here in the United States, a lot of people blame the victim for what has happened to them. As far as rapes, domestic violence cases, a lot of people say, oh, it was her fault for staying for so long, or she shouldn't have triggered him, or she should have known better for this or that. What I want to address today is why you shouldn't do that and why it's wrong to blame the victims. In my relationship, my past relationship that I was in for 3 years, I was with an abuser who was extremely manipulative, and he was able to persuade me to do things and to say things and to think a certain way when I knew deep down inside that I probably shouldn't be thinking that way or doing these things. A lot of people during that time in my life, the people who noticed a change in me, since I kept most of it very secret and only to myself, the people who noticed a change in me often asked, well, why are you staying in this type of relationship? It's your fault for being hurt because you're allowing it to happen and you stayed. Okay, well, to a certain extent, yes, I allowed myself to stay in that relationship for X amount of time. For me, it was 3 years plus a year after that of emotional and financial abuse. But then there's also the part where the abuser themselves shouldn't be abusing. And a lot of people blame the victim for triggering that person or for enticing him in some way or her in some way. And it's wrong. So one thing that I really want to address, in honor of World Refugee Day, I took a brief look at the rape that happened in India in 2012 on a bus. It was a Delhi gang rape, and it was on a bus. This 23-year-old woman and her friend got on a bus, and she was violently raped by 5 men on that bus for hours and hours. And it says that she died 11 days later because of how vile these men treated her. And these men when asked later in an interview, I'm gonna quote from BBC News, actually is where I'm gonna quote. And this man, his name is Singh, and he said, a decent girl won't roam around at 9 o'clock at night. She was raped at 9 on a moving bus. A girl is far more responsible for rape than a boy. So the abusers themselves are victim blaming. And this woman died from what they did to her. It's absolutely disgusting. And this happens so often all over the world. And I've been to India. And when I was in Hyderabad, I noticed how poorly women are treated in other countries, especially in India. And in India, there's a caste system. And a lot of people in first world countries don't notice and don't open their eyes to what happens in other countries. There's a caste system in India where you cannot get out of. You are born into a caste system, and that's where you stay for the rest of your life. Men are treated with respect. Men are wanted. Little boys are celebrated when they're born. Little girls in India are not as celebrated, are not as honored. And it's very hard for a woman in India, what I experienced, to have any respect from a male, have freedoms. Like you just heard what Singh said, women shouldn't roam the streets at 9 o'clock at night. She wasn't roaming. She actually was college educated, an educated woman with a friend that got on a bus And these men thought that it was okay to rape her because she was asking for it. Absolutely disgusting. And this happens all over the place. So in honor of those refugees who are trying to escape situations like this, I respect you, I honor you, and it's not your fault for what's happened to you. It's not your fault for how people think of you. And really what it is our job in first world countries is to educate these men internationally on how to cherish a woman and how important they are in your life. They bear your children, and you need to respect her and honor her and love her. I went through the Bible today to try to find verses about blaming and victim blaming. And in Psalms, David wrote a verse. It's Psalms 15, and I'm just going to read the entire Psalms. It's a very short psalm. He said, who may worship in your sanctuary, Lord? Who may enter your presence on your holy hill? Those who lead blameless lives and do what is right, speaking the truth from sincere hearts. Those who refuse to slander others or harm their neighbors or speak evil of their friends. Those who despise persistent sinners and honor the faithful followers of the Lord and keep their promises even when it hurts. Those who do not charge interest on the money they lend, and who refuse to accept bribes to testify against the innocent. Such people will stand firm forever. And what I got from that is you cannot blame the victim for what's happened to them. In order to live a blameless life, you need to honor and respect each other. Women, men, wherever they're from, whatever they do. And it is horrific when you hear the news and people talk about, for example, the Cosby trial right now. There's a lot of victim blaming that's happening with what's going on with Cosby. And I don't know what happened. I really don't know anything about that trial. I just know that the victims are being blamed. And a lot of people are saying, well, she allowed it to happen, or she knew what was going to happen when she went into that room. It's wrong. Just respect each other and love each other, and don't blame the victim. All right, well, thank you for joining me on Tuesday Talks. This is Michelle, and have a wonderful day.